Hey everybody, let's go through this week's course. This is a fun one. It's a USDAA. I think it's a biathlon standard. And there are some interesting little challenges in here that we can talk about. There are some line option situations and some handling options, off-course traps, all that fun stuff. So let's go ahead and get into it. So we are starting over here. And right off the bat, you have actually a couple of line options that you can look at. So you might have your dog take this line, going to the backside this way, going to 3, or you can have your dog go, actually set up more this way and go here to the backside of 2, going to 3. So both, again, just like every situation where you have line options, both have advantages and disadvantages. In terms of length of line, it does look like the red one is longer. 2 has a lead change here, whereas red, they pretty much stay on the whole lead the whole time. The biggest thing about this, I think, is actually more of where the dog, again, is going to be facing when they land from 3. I found that this wingless here became a very easy trap obstacle if you didn't do something actually before 3 to make sure that you set the line to 4. So some sort of rhythm change here with definite connection, name call was really necessary for all my dogs to get them to go to 4. And I think for any dogs that are highly obstacle focused, you're going to really need that. But overall, what you decide to do here, I think is best to do as something that you time. And as for how you handle it, for the blue line, a backside send front cross works nicely. For the red line, I started my position here-ish and did a backside send to a reverse spin to handle this line here. So those are just 2 options that you can choose. So that's a spot for you to play with this week and see what you like about that. And then definitely report back with the results. And just remember that you have to make sure that you have strong connection coming to 3, maybe a name call, maybe a rhythm change even to make sure that they land looking for the teeter and not facing this way, looking at that off-course jump there. Okay, so that's that spot. And then going on, they're going to the teeter, which we saw, and then they have to go between these 2 other jumps here and go to number 5, which it does seem to look like it's a trap obstacle going to 13, but as long as you can leave your dog on the teeter and already be up here, they shouldn't think about that. And for dogs who are more handler focused, probably they're not going to think about 13 at all anyway. But if they are more obstacle focused, if you're ahead and you are running this way with a parallel line, running here, with connection, your dog is not likely to look for that. And if they do, then that's a little spot where you want to do some either or training. But they should know to come here just by your motion in this direction, your position, and definitely keep connection. Use a name call if you need it. And all those things will help make sure that they stay on the correct line to 5. And then as they are approaching 5, so when your dog is here, hopefully you're already up here and you're making a front cross, and that you have finished that front cross and are already heading in this direction by the time your dog lifts for 5. So keep the strong connection, 1 step to the takeoff point and turn. Keep your eye on the dog so that you see them land and see them coming this way, and then commit them to the tunnel. And they do have to make a lead change away from you to go to the tunnel, but that tunnel's very obvious and right there. So if they have good skills with that, then that is very easy to do. And then you continue your motion here, so that you're in this position by the time they are coming out of the tunnel, so that you can commit them to 7. So be looking for them to exit the tunnel and start with your leg back so that you, as soon as you see any hint of dog starting to come out of that tunnel, or if you can, anticipate that exit if you have a sense of how long they will be in the tunnel, which you should, then as soon as you see them, you make your step towards their takeoff point over here and be looking at them because they will be here, and then you should see that they commit to that jump. And then your handling options there, you have a couple of them. So the dog is going to be going this way into the weave poles and making their entrance here. So we need to help facilitate a left turn for the dog. So you could opt to, as the handler, stay on this side, and as soon as you commit them, then you can keep the connection and say weave and be running in this direction. And it just means that you have to cross the end of the weave poles so that you can help them handle that lead change going there. And I do like that plan for that reason, that as the dog is exiting the poles, which they're coming here, there's a lot of, it's a hard turn, and then they have to change their lead. So if you are already crossed with connection, looking at the dog and turning your chest laser also to this line, then you will really help them make that tight turn with a lead change going to 9 there. You also can front cross 7. So as soon as you see your dog commit to 7, you make your front cross and keep moving. So if you're here when you commit the dog, or somewhere in this neighborhood here, and you commit them, oopsie. If you're here and you commit your dog to 7 as they're coming out of the tunnel, then you will turn your front cross and be moving in this direction and looking at your dog to see them land here, and then say weave. So you'll be looking at your dog over your left shoulder, say weave, and then they enter the weave poles, and then you can front cross the end of the weave poles so that you see them over your right shoulder. And that's actually another really good way to help them handle that tight turn out of the tunnel. And what you do next after the weave poles depends on the speed of your dog and the speed of yourself. This is a long line from 9 to 10 to 11 to this backside, and if you have a running A-frame, that's a factor. If you have a stop, it is a bit easier. One recommendation I have, especially if you have a running A-frame, is that you commit the dog to the tunnel from back here so that they are going this way. So as soon as you see commitment, so hopefully you see it very early, like when they're here, you immediately are going this way, so that they see, as they're committed to the tunnel, they see your motion in that direction, which should tell them that when they're coming out of the tunnel that they're also going this way. The way that this is set up, it actually is possible that if you're, say, for example, stopped, or if you are moving this way when they come out of the tunnel, that they may come here, or that they may bypass the tire to go to the A-frame. So be looking for them that when they exit the tunnel, that they see you moving this way a little bit, and that will help them commit to that tire more easily. But look how much further down you are, that as soon as they're committed to the tire, you're already heading this way. And then you should be seeing them land the tire, commit to the A-frame, you're continuing to go this way, and then by the time they're over the A-frame, you're in a position to commit them to that backside send from a bit of a distance, hopefully, so that you can handle the next spot. So this position here will let you commit them to this backside send and still let you go around this. So if you're too far, if you stay too far here, then this is in your way. If you have to run all the way up to this jump to make a backside send, then you're going to really be working to move through this without being in their way, which we'll talk about in a minute. So I recommend the layer. This off-course jump I didn't find to be an issue unless you hang out here too much. Then yes, your dog will turn this way and take that. So make sure that as they're exiting the tunnel, that they still see you moving in this direction, and that will really make sure that they are going towards that tire. So that's a small trap there that may not be that evident. Now, if you have to layer, or your dog is more handler focused, or you're not worried about needing to get ahead, or you have a stop, or any of those factors, then that's fine, that you can commit them to the tunnel, and then it's actually much easier to handle this line because you're just staying parallel and making sure you see the commitment to them to handle that, and then continuing on and stop your dog, and so you can do that. So that's contingent upon all those things I listed, but you have some options for how you can do that part. Now, for this sequence 12, 13, 14, 15, I found that really you have to be, as the handler, on this side when your dog is landing 13 to make sure that they can go to the tunnel here. If you are trying to do it from this side, I find that you fall behind, and then it's quite hard to turn them into the tunnel unless you have a really reliable verbal tunnel cue, which maybe you do. And if you do, then that's great. So you can work on it and experiment and see what you get, but I find that I I don't want my dog to be assuming a tunnel that I haven't clearly handled. So bear that in mind, because if you assume a tunnel that you haven't clearly handled to, if all of your handling elements are not supporting the same thing, then that's how they can assume off-course tunnels when you don't want that. So something to think about. When you are committing them to the backside, like I said, try to be somewhere in this neighborhood here so that they are heading this way, and as soon as you see the commitment, you're already going there. So ideally, my dog is committed somewhere here, perhaps, that I see that when they are like, I'm going to that backside, I got it, Mom, I'm moving this way. Seeing my dog land this over my right shoulder, and what I did here to make this lead change happen so that they will take that jump, and to make the side change happen there, is that when I got to this position, I just did a blind cross. So the dog comes here, makes the necessary lead change to go there, and then you're also on the correct side. The blind cross made it easy for me to move through this in a timely fashion, so I was still ahead enough, or really I ended up kind of next to my dogs. But here again, if this line here is the dog and this is the handler, the dog has to turn away from you to go into that tunnel. So that's a lead change away from you, which not all dogs will do very easily. It's not natural for them, so we have to do some sort of handling to get that, which a verbal tunnel cue helped me with that, but I also made sure I turned my chest laser towards this area as well. And was looking at my dog to make sure that I was actually handling it and not just like yelling tunnel and hoping, or just hoping that they just see the tunnel and take it. So you can work on that there. You can do a front cross as well between 13 and 14 if you have the time. So if you're faster than me and you can get that done, that's another fine option. Or if you're faster than me and you can stay on this side of 13 and 14 so that you're well ahead to push the line, then you can do that. Just probably think about doing something here so that your dog will change their takeoff a little bit in order to facilitate that, because they will naturally want to do this as they approach that. So you would want to do something so that they change their stride and land more this way. So that might be a spin probably to cause that to happen there. So that's something for you to think about too. And then once they're in this tunnel at 15, then just like you did before, once you commit them, you're continuing to move here so that you're in position to see them come out here. And then same thing, know how long they're going to be in there. Have your right leg back so that you're primed to make a step towards the takeoff point. See the commitment, front cross. And you're hanging around here. Don't wait necessarily. It's not a matter of waiting, but it's definitely a matter of making sure that you're looking at the dog so that you can see that they're squared up safely to the dog walk here. So that this sets this parallel line for them if the handler is there. So take advantage of that. And then as soon as you see that they're on the correct line and committed, then you get out of there, get around the tunnel, and then you can just handle this basically soft turn here from 18 to 19. And you're done. So that's this course, and I will be looking forward to hearing your questions or reading your questions about it, and hopefully seeing some of your training videos too, so that we can talk about it. It was definitely a fun one. And if you maybe find something in this course that I didn't talk about in this video, I'll be looking forward to hearing that too. Have fun training.